Part 24. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 233. Chapter 233 I'm hungry, I want to drink water. He Tian smiled, Chi Xiao Yan was right. Her caloric requirements are very high now, so eating every meal well can ensure that her body has enough energy. Not for anything else, just because every month my body will be in great shape and I can provide the holy blood for the Snake King's cultivation. I'm here. He Tian walked over. She had already taken the little turtle away anyway, so there was no need to stay here. Oh, Sister Tian, you are here, Chi Xiao Yan said, let's go, it's time for dinner. We couldn't find you and were worried about you, so we came out to look for you. It's okay, I'm an adult, what can happen? He Tian smiled, let's go, I'm hungry too. Niu Dajin was very happy when he found He Tian and no longer had to blame himself. Chi Xiao Yan took He Tian's hand and asked, Sister Tian, what are you doing here? I just thought this small park was quite nice, so I came here for a walk. I saw a kitten and played for a while. He Tian explained that even if Chi Xiao Yan was her best friend, she would not tell Chi Xiao Yan the secret. She didn't tell her parents. He didn't even tell Huo Yingzhe. No one else knows, this is her secret. Oh, I thought you were lost, Chi Xiao Yan said. Sister Lily invited us to dinner today and made what you like, big meat wontons. It's already done and waiting for you to go back and cook it. That's great, that's my favorite food. He Tian smiled and followed Chi Xiao Yan and Niu Dajin to the Daowen Hotel. When Niu Lily saw them coming, she asked the chef at the back to quickly make wontons and bring them to the house for dinner. She had to go out to work. After Niu Lily finished her work, she came over to chat with Chi Xiao Yan and He Tian. Niu Lily was in high spirits and her eyes were shining with excitement. He Tian took the opportunity to look at Niu Lily, blinked, and asked in a low voice, how are you doing over there? Niu Lily put her cigarette in her mouth and smiled, saying, we've already started chatting. Qi Rongjun learned from his brother that Guo Qiqui had fallen in love with someone else. He felt a little disappointed and awkward, but not too sad. Now that things have reached this point, it is the best ending, and he is not angry. When Qi Rongjun received Niu Lily's letter, he was a little strange. He had met her once and was deeply impressed by the tall woman with bright eyebrows, so he replied to Niu Lily by accident. Niu Lily talked about interesting things in the hotel, and Qi Rongjun talked about interesting things about the work unit. After going back and forth, there were more letters exchanged. Haha, congratulations. He Tian clasped her hands in her hands. If a man is not interested in a woman, he will generally not reply. Even if you reply, it will be polite and you won't reply too much. Niu Lily smiled and said, thanks to you. By the way, I heard that Guo Qiqui is engaged to Qin Hai. Ah, He Tian was stunned, that's pretty fast. Wouldn't she get what she wanted? Yeah, it's just that it was a bit ugly. Niu Lily said, Qin Hai is not a thing. He has an affair with Guo Qiqui and takes advantage of others. He eats everything and refuses to admit it. But Guo Qiqui is not a fuel-efficient lamp either. Be on guard against Qin Hai. When Qin Hai alienated her, she took out the sheets and went to Qin Hai's house. If Qin Hai didn't agree, she would accuse Qin Hai of rape. Bed sheets, He Tian was stunned, what are you doing with the sheets? Niu Lily saw He Tian's puzzled eyes, her face turned red with embarrassment, and she said angrily, little girl, don't ask if you don't know about the film. Anyway, there is evidence of Qin Hai taking advantage of it. Hearing this, He Tian suddenly realized, it turned out to be that thing. A woman's beauty, a man's beauty, Guo Qiqui is a great person. In his previous life, he suppressed village chief Qi's family to death. In this life, it was also very exciting. Putting aside the flaws in Guo Qiqui's character, in some aspects, He Tian quite admires Guo Qiqi. Cherish your life. Dare to love and dare to hate. If you don't make it easy for me, I will make it difficult for your whole family. Not everyone can learn this. To be honest, Guo Qiqi is pretty awesome, He Tian praised. Most people can't compare to her. Niu Lily nodded and said, it's very powerful. She dared to pull the emperor off his horse even if she was killed. Guo Qiqi lost her body. If she didn't risk her life, what would happen to her in the future? But when she meets someone like Qin Hai, Guo Qiqi is like this. A girl with a more restrained personality would probably commit suicide by jumping into the river. As soon as He Tian heard about committing suicide by jumping into the river, He Tian thought of Qi Xiaoyan. Looking up at Qi Xiaoyan not far away, Niu Dajin was chatting and laughing in a low voice, full of happiness. He Tian felt that her efforts were not in vain. This way, that's good. By the way, Tian, I just remembered that Qi Xiaoyan and my cousin were engaged. Now I want to win over Qi Rongjun. If it comes to pass, what will we be called in the future? It's like the two families are exchanging relatives, right? Isn't it a bit awkward? Niu Lily said with a grimace. She had been thinking about Qi Rongjun's heroism before, but she didn't expect that there was also the issue of ethics. Privately speaking, there is no difference in seniority, but the age, coupled with the marriage between Qi Xiaoyan and Niu Dajin, is indeed a bit awkward. He Tian thought about it, but she didn't care about this, and comforted, first, you are not related by blood, second, the family or personal conditions are not good, so you can't marry a wife, so you changed your marriage, third, you don't if there is a difference in seniority or age, you can call each other his own. Niu Lily thought for a while, as if she had figured it out, yes, it's not that I can't get married, and it's not that Qi Rongjun can't marry a wife, so he doesn't meet the conditions for marriage exchange. Furthermore, we can face the difficulties, and even more it is a symbol of free love. That's good, He Tian said, follow what you want. The reason why He Tian said this was because Niu Lily was a good girl, and Qi Rongjun was also a gentleman. This kind of love should be blessed by everyone. The two talked for a while. Niu Lily and Qi Dajin went back. He Tian and Qi Xiaoyan live in Niu Lily's dormitory. Early the next morning, Niu Dajin went to pick up He Tian and Qi Xiaoyan and went to the bus station. There were only a few cars at the bus station at this time, and they were very small. Niu Dajin went to buy tickets. He came very early and bought a seat near the front. He Tian consciously found a seat for Qi Xiaoyan and Niu Dajin to sit together. The car started and drove out of the station with several engine roars. At first, in the county town, cars stopped in order to avoid pedestrians. Some people who couldn't get used to cars already got motion sickness, and some already vomited. He Tian, Qi Xiaoyan is in good health and has no motion sickness. Niu Dajin is a man. He has ridden in even bumpier cars and will not get motion sickness. After leaving the county town and driving on a smooth road, the car finally became stable and the motion sickness became better. There were still 5 hours left, so He Tian had nothing to do, closed her eyes to rest, and pretended to sleep. Qi Xiaoyan secretly glanced at He Tian, and when she saw He Tian breathing heavily, she thought she was asleep, so she whispered to Niu Dajin. He Tian found it funny. 9 out of 10 sentences between lovers who share the same mind were nonsense, but when they were said, they still felt interesting and interesting. The sight of Qi Xiaoyan and Niu Dajin together reminded her of the time she was with Huo Yingjia. Fun and sweet. Oops, when she saw other people kissing me, she missed Huo Yingjia. Thinking of his gentleness, his tyranny, and his compassion. Huo Yingjia said before that he would definitely come to see her during the holidays. I wonder if he will come. He Tian is also very conflicted. On the one hand, She wants to see Huo Yingja to relieve the pain of lovesickness. On the other hand, she is worried that Huo Yingja will work too hard and hurt her body, and she will not be able to let him go. Don't think about it anymore. The more you think about it, the more you will miss it. Gilug, Gilug, he Tian Tian chanted a spell, wanting to see the Snake King and the new little spinner turtle. The Snake King opened the barrier, and he Tian Tian saw the interesting side inside. The Snake King was angry, and the little spinner turtle was at a loss for words, like a child who made a mistake. What's wrong with you? He Tian Tian asked in her heart. She also hoped that the little spinner turtle would find a way to alleviate this year's drought. Seeing He Tian Tian, the Snake King became a little shy. He turned his back and said, "Ask this idiot." He Tian Tian looked at the innocent and cute little turtle and asked, "What's going on?" "I peed." The little spinner turtle raised its little head, its little eyes flashing innocently. "Ah," He Tian Tian was shocked, "you are a stone statue, how can you pee?" The little spinner turtle was unhappy and said, "I am a spinner turtle. My body is broken. The master made me a body of a stone statue, but I have all the functions of the spinner turtle body. I drink water in the river. Drinking rainwater in the square. I can not only pee, but also eat. I am hungry, I am hungry." He Tian Tian was dumbfounded and said, "Are you a stone statue? What do you eat?" "You are in the car now, and I don't have anything to eat for you." "I want to drink water," the little spinner turtle replied. "I can't drain more water until I'm full." He Tianation's eyes lit up and she said, "You mean you can urinate twice with a mouthful of water?" It seemed a bit indecent, so He Tian Tian didn't say anything further. Even though the little turtle and the Snake King were opposite them, they could talk, and He Tian Tian regarded them as human beings, on the same level as herself. "Yes, that's how you understand it," the little turtle said seriously, not shy at all. "Do you only drink water?" He Tian Tian asked, very puzzled. "Why is this?" The appearance and harm of this little spin turtle was the first time He Tian Tian came into contact with it, and now it has such a mysterious digestive system, which is even more inexplicable. "Because I am a spin turtle," said the little spin turtle, "I am a stone statue, only a soul, but after all, I have no body, so I can only drink water. I am hungry, I am hungry." The Snake King became impatient, jumped up, slapped the little spinner turtle a few times with his tail, and cursed, "Don't bark. You have two options now. First, shut up and hold back. Wait until you get home, get some water, I guarantee you will drink it if you like it. The second way is to seal you now and throw you out." "Ah!" The little spinner was stunned, blinking his cute big eyes. "We are friends, how can you throw me out? You are the Snake King, you are my boss, how can you throw me out?" The Snake King was stunned for a moment and said uncomfortably, "So what if you are a friend, what if you are a boss, if you interfere with my cultivation, then it won't work." The Snake King has always been like this. If it is justified, it will be unforgiving, if it is not justified, it will be even more unforgiving. Okay, under the wrath of the Snake King, the little spinner turtle was dejected and nestled on the edge, feeling very aggrieved. Seeing this, He Tian Tian comforted and said, "Little turtle, please bear with me for a while. When I arrived in Hawaii City, I saw a place with water, so I put you down and let you drink to your fill." After hearing this, the little spin turtle hurriedly turned its little head, nodded and said, "Okay, okay, Tian Tian is so good." He Tian Tian smiled, finding this little turtle with a split personality quite interesting. Sometimes cute, sometimes manic, sometimes rogue. If it hadn't admitted that it was a real stone statue, He Tian Tian wouldn't have believed it. "Okay, I'm going to practice." The Snake King blocked the connection between the barrier and the outside world. He was particularly unhappy when He Tian Tian was so kind to that little guy. He Tian Tian had never been so kind to him before. He Tian was stunned for a moment. She wanted to say something else, but was blocked by the Snake King. What happened to the Snake King today? Very irritable. Being idle and bored, He Tian really fell asleep this time. When I woke up, I had already driven more than half of the way and still had more than an hour to go. I recommend my old books The Wine Lady and A Fair Wife. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 234. 232. Finally arrived at Huishi at around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. When you get off the bus, the first thing you notice is that the bus station in Huai City is much larger than that in Daowen County, and there are more cars. Xiao Yan, Tian, get your things. Let's go to the guest house now, Niu Dajin said. There is a canteen in the guest house. Eat well and have a good rest. You will be in good shape tomorrow. I know, Chi Xiao Yan said crisply, very curious about her surroundings. He Tian brought toiletries and a change of clothes, and Chi Xiao Yan had 2 more books in her school bag. Although she had been studying hard, Chi Xiao Yan felt uneasy because she didn't bring her books. These music theory books are not from He Tian, they were found by Niu Dajin. The bus station was not far from the guest house, so they walked there. Chi Xiao Yan, He Tian's large bamboo suitcases were all held in Niu Dajin's hands. Niu Dajin explained as he walked, it only takes 10 minutes to walk to the guest house. Let's eat first, and then go to the examination room to get familiar with it. After dinner, have a good rest. This arrangement is quite reasonable, He Tian said, agreeing with Niu Dajin's arrangement. Niu Dajin did his best for Chi Xiao Yan. Soon we arrived at the guest house. Niu Dajin took out the certification documents and booked 2 rooms, one for himself, one for He Tian, and one for Chi Xiao Yan. They were right next door, so they could take care of each other. People were very vigilant at this time. The staff saw a man named Niu Dajin and 2 women with different surnames. They interrogated them for a long time and checked all the supporting documents they submitted before allowing them to move in. While He Tian and Chi Xiao Yan were packing their things, Niu Dajin had already gone downstairs to buy lunch. After they have tidied up, ask them to go down to eat. After dinner, we went to the examination room. Chi Xiao Yan was not nervous at all before, but after arriving at the examination room, she suddenly became nervous and held He Tian's hand tightly. Relax, relax, you are very talented and work so hard, you can definitely do it, He Tian comforted. If you are so nervous, it will definitely affect your results. Chi Xiao Yan smiled dryly and said, do you think those people are also here for the exam? He Tian looked in the direction Chi Xiao Yan pointed, nodded, and said, I guess so, this is the examination room. We want to come and have a look, others will think of it too. If you are the only one taking the examination, then it's not called an exam anymore. You have to be confident and think about the songs you prepared, but they made all of us cry. He Tian said that Chi Xiao Yan sang the song My Motherland for the first time and it was very nice. Let those who hear the song be moved and shocked. Very contagious. Really? Chi Xiao Yan asked cautiously, looking at He Tian and Niu Dajin. Yes, of course it's true. You are the best singer I have ever heard, Niu Dajin praised. He Tian also nodded and said, work hard. Try your best and don't think about the results. Chi Xiao Yan nodded and said, work hard and do your best. As for the result, I don't think about it. It's useless to think about it. This is controlled by others. Mom, Dad, I will definitely pass the exam this time. A 17 or 18-year-old woman standing next to him looked at He Tian and Chi Xiao Yan. Not everyone can sing. The woman covered her mouth and smiled, saying, haha, yes. But Xiaoxiu, you can't underestimate the enemy. Maybe they are really better than you. I'm not afraid, the one named Xiaoxiu said proudly, very confident. He Tian smiled and said, "Did you see there are many cows in the sky?" Niu Dajin was stunned. Just now he wanted to go find the mother and daughter to argue. Chi Xiaoyan knew what He Tian was going to say, so she continued with a smile, "Yeah, there are so many. I'm bragging to the sky." After hearing this, Niu Dajin burst into laughter and said, "Yes, this cowhide is so powerful that it's blown up to the sky." "Who are you talking about?" The one named Xiaoxiu, who was still young and could not hold his temper, asked He Tian and his group. He Tian looked surprised, shrugged, and said, "Who are you? We don't know you." The one named Xiaoxiu was so angry that she didn't know how to refute. "Little girl, be careful what you say. This is Hawaii City, not a place with no corners. You can't talk casually." The woman squinted her eyes, as if threatening He Tian and Chi Xiaoyan. He Tian still wanted to say something, but Niu Dajin stopped him and stepped forward and said, "Yes, this is Hawaii City, and they are all here to take the exam. In this case, let's wait until the exam is over before talking nonsense. Why are you saying these sarcastic words now?" The middle-aged man saw that Niu Dajin was upright, neither humble nor arrogant, and felt that he was not an ordinary person. "You can't be arrogant these days. When you offend someone, you have to be prepared to be retaliated against. But it's best to be kind to others and not offend others. The young man is right. Since you are here to take the exam, you just have to take the exam well. Why are you grinding here? Come on, let's go over there and have a look." The middle-aged man said with a smile, nodded to the army of cattle, and led the people away. "Gone." After they left, Chi Xiaoyan said with a bitter face, "Sister Tian, are we that shabby? It can be seen at a glance that we are country people." He Tian snickered and said, "The clothes we wear are not bad, but the accent we speak makes them tell that we are not from Huishi." Chi Xiaoyan suddenly realized and said, "So that's it? The girl I saw just now is not better dressed than us? She looks down on us because we are not locals." "Okay, don't think so much," Niu Dajin said, "keep it up, take the exam well tomorrow, and take a walk. We haven't seen the east side yet. Let's go and have a look." The three of them spent half an hour watching the inspection and simulating the order of the exam so that Chi Xiaoyan knew what to expect. There was still some time, but Chi Xiaoyan didn't want to go shopping, so He Tian followed Chi Xiaoyan back to the guest house in order to accompany her. Chi Xiaoyan read the book again and reviewed relevant music theory knowledge. The exam is divided into 2 days. On the first day, there is a written test in the morning, which tests relevant music theory knowledge. Only if you meet the standards can you participate in the interview on the second day. Chi Xiaoyan was tired of watching alone, so she asked He Tian to ask questions. Chi Xiaoyan always answers He Tian's questions without missing a word, which shows that Chi Xiaoyan usually works very hard. After dinner, Chi Xiaoyan still had to review. "Xiaoyan, you know how to memorize these 2 books, so you don't need to read them anymore. Relax, and only in good condition can you get good results in the exam." He Tian said, "If you work hard, there is no need to sharpen your skills before the exam." Chi Xiaoyan smiled and said, "Thankfully you came with me, otherwise I would not be able to regulate my emotions." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 235. Chapter 235, First in the Exam, 1480 plus. 233. Chi Xiaoyan thanked Tian for her thoughtfulness. "Come on, let's talk about your life in the workplace after you are admitted to the art troupe," He Tian said, not mentioning tomorrow's exam. Chi Xiaoyan thought for a while and said, "Then I can become an honorable staff member, and my parents will be proud of it." He Tian was surprised that there was such a simple idea in Chi Xiao Yan's wish. Not bad, continue. He Tian smiled. The two chatted until about 9 o'clock. Chi Xiao Yan felt completely relaxed. After yawning, she said, I'm sleepy, let's go to bed. Good night then, He Tian smiled, wishing Chi Xiao Yan a smooth exam tomorrow. Early the next morning, Niu Dajin bought breakfast. After Chi Xiao Yan had breakfast, she got her exam number based on her registration form and went in to arrange her seat. He Tian, the army of cattle is waiting outside. This is the basics of music theory, 1.5 hours. Chi Xiao Yan followed He Tian's instructions and glanced aside. She felt slightly relieved when she saw that they were all knowledge points in the book. I started to write my name, exam number, and started to answer the questions. The test paper follows the order from easy to difficult. Chi Xiao Yan did it very smoothly at the beginning. When he came to the back, he encountered a few questions that he was not sure about, so he took it easy. He first did it with confidence and then thought about it slowly. Chi Xiao Yan left the next big questions last night and came back to do the first few questions. After much deliberation and recall, I wrote the answer. Chi Xiao Yan made time and began to check it carefully from beginning to end. An hour had passed and there was still half an hour left. Chi Xiao Yan was a good child and didn't dare to hand in the paper, so she checked the answers again. The army of cattle was circling back and forth, rubbing their hands in anxiety. Brother Dajin, please stop. He Tian rubbed his eyes and said. He has been restless since the beginning of the exam and was even more anxious than Chi Xiao Yan. Niu Dajin was embarrassed, smiled, and said, I am a little anxious for making you laugh. What's the use of being anxious? Can you take the exam for Xiao Yan? He Tian asked, stand still. You have to believe in Xiao Yan. She works so hard and is smart, so she will definitely pass the exam. Niu Dajin smiled and said, you are saying that Xiao Yan is so smart and works so hard, she will definitely pass the exam. Haha, if it were that easy, anyone could pass the exam, the middle-aged woman said yesterday. Although she did not say it to them, He Tian and Niu Dajin also understood that this was meant for them. He Tian glanced at the woman, pretended not to notice and said, haha, yes, this is based on true ability. Niu Dajin didn't want to talk to the woman, which would affect his mood. An hour finally passed. Chi Xiao Yan's seat was in the front and she came out first. He Tian stepped forward and said directly, are you hungry? Let's go eat. Niu Dajin wanted to ask, but he didn't dare. But I heard the person named Zioxiu in the back say coquettishly, it's really difficult. I can't get the answer to many questions. Then the woman enlightened and encouraged. As Chi Xiao Yan walked away, she turned around and asked, why don't you ask me how I did in the exam? Haha, you took the initiative to say it, which proves that you did well in the exam. He Tian smiled, isn't that right? Chi Xiao Yan said excitedly, yes, I know most of the questions in it, but I am not sure about a few questions. But I thought about it for a long time, and I am 70 to 80% sure. That's good. After the exam, you don't have to think about it. Go back and eat well and have a good rest. He Tian said, by the way, will the results come out tonight or tomorrow? The results will be out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Chi Xiao Yan said, those on the red list will take part in tomorrow's retest. If not, they will not be eligible to take part in tomorrow's retest. Niu Dajin finally stopped being nervous and said, after dinner, take a nap, and let's go see the red list together in the afternoon. The three of them agreed and returned to the guest house together. After some sleep, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. Chi Xiao Yan, He Tian, washed up and went to see the red list with Niu Dajin, feeling very nervous and excited. When we got to the place where we were looking at the list, it was already packed with people. Niu Daijin looked at his watch from time to time and said, "It's already 4:50, there are still 10 minutes left." Yang Xiaoxiu came with her mother and saw He Tiantian and his group walking past them with their faces raised and arrogantly. Qi Xiaoyan was puzzled and said, "Sister Tiantian, I'm surprised. We haven't offended this mother and daughter. Why do they act like this every time they see us? Just because we are from the county town below, not Huai City. People." He Tiantian didn't understand either, so she thought about it carefully. Niu Daijin smiled and said, "Haha, actually it's not just that, it's also because you two are prettier than the one named Xiaoxiu. I'm jealous of you, so naturally I don't like you." Niu Daijin's words made Qi Xiaoyan blush and asked in a low voice, "Are you telling the truth?" "Of course it's the truth. If you don't believe me, just ask Tiantian," Niu Daijin said firmly. "The one named Xiaoxiu is not bad looking, but compared with He Tiantian and Qi Xiaoyan, he is far behind. Her figure is not as graceful as He Tianatian's, and her height is not as tall as Qi Xiaoyan's. Her face can only be considered delicate, and it is not as good as He Tianatian's and Qi Xiaoyan's." He Tiantian suddenly realized why she hadn't thought of such a simple truth. Finally at 5 o'clock, 2 staff members held the red list and posted it on the wall. Yang Xiaoxiu and her mother squeezed in and said excitedly, "Xiaoxiu, you passed the exam, you passed the exam, you passed the exam anyway." Qi Xiaoyan was a little anxious and didn't pay attention to the meaning of the middle-aged woman's words. He Tiantian heard that Xiaoxiu's name would never come first, otherwise the mother would have said it loudly. Niu Daijin squeezed in to take a look, but there were many people in front, and most of them were women. He could only wait for others to finish watching before he squeezed in. Niu Daijin was tall. Even without squeezing in, he stood on tiptoe and could still see the names at the top of the red list. He said excitedly, "Xiaoyan, you passed the exam, you passed the exam." He Tiantian, Qi Xiaoyan came over quickly. He Tiantian took a closer look and said happily, "Xiaoyan, you are awesome, you actually got the first place in the exam." Qi Xiaoyan's face was red and her breathing was short. She got the first place in the exam. Yang Xiaoxiu and her mother happened to be passing by He Tiantian. When they heard this, their expressions of joy disappeared. Before leaving, they glared at Qi Xiaoyan, just like He Tiantian. Qi Xiaoyan, He Tiantian, looked at each other. This hatred is unjust. However, this is not important anymore. What is important is that Qi Xiaoyan passed the written test and will have to take the retest tomorrow. As long as Qi Xiaoyan performs normally, there will be no problem in tomorrow's exam. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 236. 234. Early the next morning, Qi Xiaoyan took a sip of honey water to moisten her throat. "I walked into the examination room with high spirits and received my number plate just like the first time. Because Qi Xiaoyan was first, she was also first in the retest. Don't be nervous, you are so good, come on," He Tiantian encouraged, "others are not as good as you just need to perform normally, don't be nervous." Qi Xiaoyan nodded, her body stiffened, and she entered the examination room with hands and feet. The woman behind sneered, "That's it, you still want to pass the re-examination." He Tiantian turned her head and smiled, she was still Yang Xiaoxiu's mother. "Brother Daijin, if our Xiaoyan who ranks first can't pass the exam, then the person who ranks last can't even pass the exam," He Tiantian said softly. "You can't be too arrogant, and this is what Yang Xiaoxiu and her daughter are talking about. You come to take the exam, and others come to take the exam too. Everyone is based on their true abilities. As for those who keep saying mean things behind the scenes, what are you talking about?" The woman was angry and wanted to argue with He Tiantian. He Tiantian took 2 steps back and said without getting angry, "You want to quarrel, right? Okay, Anyway, your daughter has the worst grades. If you quarrel outside, she will definitely be affected inside and she will definitely fail the exam. He Tian scares her. The woman quickly retracted her outstretched hand and said with a slightly distorted face, I don't care about this girl like you. After saying that, she twisted her fat butt and went to the other side. When other people saw this woman leaving, they all snickered and hated her. It was obvious that the middle-aged woman had offended many people in this examination room. The examination room is not far from the outside, and you can hear singing inside from time to time. The first one was Chi Xiaoyan. Chi Xiaoyan still sang her best song My Motherland. Her moans were melodious and melodious. Chi Xiaoyan was a little nervous at first, but after she started singing, she got into the song and was very emotional. Because of her wholehearted devotion, Chi Xiaoyan even shed tears from the corners of her eyes and her voice was a little trembling, but this did not affect the entire song, but made it more touching. You sang very well at the beginning, but you didn't control your emotions well later, which affected the stability of the entire song. A long-faced examiner frowned. He affirmed Chi Xiaoyan's singing, but this girl couldn't control her emotions. This is a taboo. Chi Xiaoyan wiped her tears, smiled bitterly, and said, every time I sing this song, I can't control my emotions. Another examiner did not think this was a flaw and asked, can you tell me why? The stability of the song is one thing, but the more important thing is the appeal. If the song can't even move you, how can it move others? Chi Xiaoyan shook her lips and said, it's because my second grandfather participated in the war to resist US aggression and aid Korea. He lost his arm in that war. He once told me about the tragedy of the war at that time. But I am young, so listen, I didn't understand, so he taught me how to sing this song. As I grew older and wiser, I finally understood what my second grandfather said. Every time I sang this song, the scene of my second grandfather going into battle to kill the enemy flashed in my mind. I can't help crying. Chi Xiaoyan's words made several examiners take it seriously, and no one said anything about Chi Xiaoyan's singing voice. This is an affirmation of Chi Xiaoyan's singing, and it is also a tribute to the veteran who Chi Xiaoyan said was the hero of the war to resist US aggression and aid Korea. What other songs can you sing? The examiner continued to ask, hoping to hear Chi Xiaoyan singing again. Chi Xiaoyan thought for a while and answered carefully, I can also sing many songs, among which Hymn to Heroes and BJ's Golden Mountain are the best. Then you sing Hymn to Heroes again, the examiner said, looking at Chi Xiaoyan with a smile. This is the episode of Heroes and Sons. This song has also become familiar to the people along with the movie. At the same time, this song is also a song of praise. Songs of the soldiers who resisted US aggression and aided Korea. However, the style of this song is very different from the previous song My Motherland. If Chi Xiaoyan can sing this song well, he will immediately decide to keep Chi Xiaoyan. Chi Xiaoyan nodded, and her newly calmed emotions instantly entered the atmosphere of that era. Her eyes were firm and her voice was thicker, the beacon smoke is billowing and the heroes are singing. The green mountains on all sides are listening, listening. The thunder is beating on the golden drum on a sunny day, and the waves of the sea are making harmony. People's soldiers drive away tigers and leopards. Chi Xiaoyan's voice is light and translucent, with indescribable richness, strong penetrating power, and very contagious. When singing the first song, Chi Xiaoyan was still a little nervous, but when singing the second song, Chi Xiaoyan was completely immersed in the song. Pictures of her second grandfather and his comrades fighting bloody battles flashed through her mind, and she also thought of those touching songs that her second grandfather listened to on the radio when she was a child. This time, Chi Xiaoyan went all out. This time, the examiner was not disappointed. As Chi Xiaoyan sang, the three examiners sat upright, as if being moved by Chi Xiaoyan, and listened carefully. He Tian, Niu Daejin and others outside also heard Chi Xiao Yan singing. Although it was a competitive relationship now, I had to admit in my heart that Chi Xiao Yan sang so well, no wonder she came first in the exam. After Chi Xiao Yan finished singing, the three examiners clapped together in silence for a few seconds and said, "You sang very well. You can go back. Come see the notice at 5 o'clock in the afternoon." Chi Xiao Yan looked at the performance of the three examiners, felt slightly relieved, bowed to the examiners, and then walked out of the examination room, and the second one came in. When Chi Xiao Yan came out, she was almost in the same hand and foot, releasing the tension during the exam. "How is it?" Niu Daejin asked, very concerned. Chi Xiao Yan nodded and said, "Not bad, if nothing unexpected happens." He Tian pulled Chi Xiao Yan out and said, "Let's go outside and talk. There are so many people here that it's not convenient to talk." When they got outside, Chi Xiao Yan said, "The three examiners applauded me. Let's come over at 5 o'clock in the afternoon to read the notice." "Great, let's go back to the guest house first and have a good rest," Niu Daejin said. "We'll see you again in the evening." At this moment, a man in his 20s came in. When he saw Niu Daejin, he came up and gave Niu Daejin a beating, and said with a smile, "Daejin, you are a good boy. How did Xiao Yan do in the exam?" Chi Xiao Yan was stunned. It turned out to be Chi Ling, another comrade of the second brother. "Brother Chi, I did well in the exam, thank you for your concern." Chi Xiao Yan said hello with a shy look on her face. Niu Daejin knew that his comrades were joking and said cheerfully, "Are you done?" "I'm done." "I'm sorry, come here. I have something to do and I didn't pick you up. Let's take a walk, I'll take you around Hawaii City. I'll go back to my house for dinner at noon. I'll accompany you here to check the results in the evening." Chi Ling apologized. "Fortunately, the matter was settled, otherwise I would not be able to see my comrades next time." The male supporting actor on the front appears, haha, applause and welcome. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 237. 235. Before we become good brothers, there is no need to act in vain. Niu Daejin was not polite to Chi Ling and said, "Okay, it's up to you to make arrangements today." "Okay." When Chi Ling spoke, his eyes unconsciously looked at He Tian. Chi Xiao Yan understood and said, "Brother Chi, this is my good friend He Tian. He is a young man from the city who came from Nanji. This time he came with me to take the exam. Sister Tian, this is my second brother's friend, Kailing. Now working in Hawaii City. Hello, comrade He. Hello, comrade Chi." They both say hello to each other. The three of them followed Chi Ling around Hawaii City, temporarily letting go of their nervousness after the exam. While He Tian was accompanying Chi Xiao Yan to take the exam, Huo Yingjia was not calm and there was a lot of commotion. Let's talk about He Tian sending the letter. The person who saw the letter first was not Huo Yingjia, but Director Liu of the Research Institute. Director Liu's main job is to check incoming and outgoing letters. The first thing Director Liu saw was Zhou Yuan writing a scorer's letter to He Tian, and he almost choked on his own saliva. Is she old? Don't you understand the minds of young people now? In this letter, aren't Huo Yingjia and He Tian getting along well? Why are you breaking up suddenly? Director Liu read the letter again and felt that there was something wrong with the handwriting. Although the handwriting was similar, it lacked a bit of strength. Director Liu couldn't make a judgment for a while. Seeing that there were other letters in the envelope, he quickly poured them all out. "Ah! One more photo?" Director Liu didn't have time to read the letter written by He Tian. He first picked up the small photo and took it over to look at it. He choked on his own saliva again. The weather was so damn dry, and she was getting angry. Now that something like this has happened, she can barely survive. Zhou Yuan Yuan. This is not easy to worry about. I had said so much before, but I didn't remember a single word. I even secretly imitated Huo Yingji's letter and wrote to He Tian Tian. Really, really. So stupid and fearless. Imitating Huo Yingji's handwriting is illegal in itself. When working in the institute, you are not allowed to send letters outside without permission, which is also against the discipline of the institute. To put it mildly, this is fighting for the upper hand and eating the wrong thing. To put it more seriously, it is suspected of leaking the secrets of the institute. Huo Yingji is the most outstanding talent in the institute. There are 10 commendations on her desk, 3 of which belong to Huo Yingji. The country needs such talents now. Losing one of them is a huge loss for the institute. The matter was so important that Director Lu took a few deep breaths, calmed down a little, and then opened another piece of folded letter paper. This is He Tianation's reply. When Director Lu saw the end, he pursed his lips and smiled. Well done, He Tian Tian. I didn't get angry when I saw the letter, and soon discovered something fishy about the letter, and even sent Zhou Yuan Yuan's photo. Such a move is the most appropriate. First of all, He Tian Tian was self-aware and knew that she couldn't handle such a matter, so she would just leave it to Huo Yingji and trust Huo Yingji. Secondly, He Tian Tian probably guessed that Huo Yingji's suitor was causing trouble, and if Huo Yingji had not changed his mind, he would have given her an explanation. This is a smart girl. When Director Lu was lamenting He Tian Tian, his eyes fell on Zhou Yuan Yuan's photo, and he sighed. Hey, such a good girl, why are you so stubborn? With this appearance, this family background, and this job, what kind of man can't you find? Why do you stare at a man who doesn't like you all day long? Director Lu put the letter away and went to the research institute in person. Even if she has worked here for 20 years, she has to go through layers of inspections when she arrives at the institute. But Director Lu didn't see Huo Yingji, who was conducting experiments. General Engineer Sun passed by and saw Director Lu and asked, "Why are you here?" When Director Lu saw that it was General Engineer Sun, he was not polite and said directly, "Huo Yingji is your right-hand man, and I want to talk to you about this matter." Seeing Director Liu's serious expression, General Engineer Sun said seriously, "Let's go to my office." After arriving at the office and closing the door, General Manager Sun frowned and asked, "What happened to Huo Yingji? You are the director of the research institute. You should know that Huo Yingji has a very heavy workload at this time and cannot be distracted." Director Lu smiled bitterly and said, "Of course I know. But this matter is of a bad nature. If someone takes advantage of it, Huo Yingji may be persecuted." Ah, Mr. Sun's expression changed slightly. It's so serious. What's going on? Director Lu sighed, "Isn't it just about men and women? Is Zhou Yuan Yuan causing trouble again? Or has Yingji's little girlfriend changed her mind?" Mr. Sun was very familiar with Huo Yingji's love for his family and the things around him. Although Huo Yingji is young, his ability is very powerful. Since the Chinese New Year, Huo Yingji has made significant progress in several important material projects and has made great contributions. Mr. Sun must risk his life to protect such a talent and not let Huo Yingji suffer any harm. Director Lu was stunned for a moment, then smiled. "Who said that men with science majors are all stupid? She won't believe this anymore." You see, Chief Engineer Sun immediately asked the key to what happened to Huo Yingji. It's Zhou Yuan Yuan who's causing trouble again. Take a look at this letter. Director Lu took out the letter sent by He Tian Tian. Mr. Sun looked at it quickly, his face was gloomy and regretful, and he said, "Is the love calculated like this really sweet? Whether it's sweet or not is not what we care about. What I'm worried about now is that Zhou Yuan Yuan is sending letters outside without permission, violating discipline. There is a postmark on it, and you can find out where it was sent. Zhou Yuan Yuan is ruining Huo Yingji's relationship problems. Let's not talk about it for now, Look carefully, Zhou Yuanyuan also imitates Huo Yingjia's handwriting. Mimic handwriting? This is a taboo. Huo Yingjia is now a talented person at the Weapons Research Institute. If there are hostile forces that engage in sabotage and imitate Huo Yingjia's handwriting, there will indeed be big trouble. If that's the case, transferring Zhou Yuanyuan is not a good idea. Mr. Sun was in a dilemma. A woman trapped in love can do anything. If Huo Yingjia sees this letter, it will definitely affect his work. You see, Director Lu wanted to put the letter away temporarily in the name of the organization and wait until they think of a way to deal with Zhou Yuanyuan before taking it out. No, Mr. Sun waved his hand. No, we can't hide this from Yingjia. If the experiment here goes well, it will be over tomorrow. You'd better ask Yingjia to speak tomorrow. Isn't that bad? Director Lu hesitated. In ancient times, a beauty was angered by anger. If Huo Yingjia loses control, the institute will be in an uproar again. This time Zhou Yuanyuan is going to make a bigger move. The male protagonist is very dangerous. Please reward me, please subscribe, please comfort me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 238. Chapter 238 Losing Him, Tianbao Maybe, 1500 plus. 236. Such a situation may occur. Mr. Sun also hesitated for a moment, and finally insisted, Huo Yingjia is not an ordinary young man. He has a high IQ and high EQ, and he can handle emotional problems well. If we hide it from him and let him have regrets, he will regret it. More lifelong. Director Lu thought about it, nodded and said, okay, I'll wait until Huo Yingjia reaches a certain point in his work, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. Well, Zhou Yuanyuan, if possible, talk to the director of the hospital and try to give Zhou Yuanyuan more tasks and don't let her leave the institute again. Mr. Sun said, rather than letting Zhou Yuanyuan outside, it is better to stay inside and be strict guard. I understand. Director Lu understood that confidentiality was more important than anything else. After Director Lu returned, he went to see the director of the hospital in the research institute. The director of the hospital knew the seriousness of the matter and immediately promised to let the doctor take Zhou Yuanyuan with him in the future and try not to let her take vacations. Huo Yingjia came out of the laboratory tiredly. Although he was tired, the results had come out and been verified. He could rest. Zhou Yuanchao and Qian Miao Miao, who were following Huo Yingjia, both looked tired but had eager eyes. They are going to make a meritorious deed again. There are holidays, there are bonuses for those who come first, and big bonuses. When Huo Yingjia went to Mr. Sun's office to hand in the task, Mr. Sun wanted to say a few words to Huo Yingjia, but he couldn't bear to see Huo Yingjia's bloodshot eyes. The mission is completed. Have a good rest. I know your vacation well. Don't push yourself too hard. Chief Engineer Sun comforted him. He wanted to protect his beloved general. Such a talent is worth thousands of people. Future wars will not only require bravery, but also rely more on science and technology and improved weapons to break through the blockade of other major countries. Thank you, Mr. Sunday. Huo Yingjia smiled and left Mr. Sun's office without staying any longer. If it were in the past, Huo Yingjia might have noticed Mr. Sun's unusual expression, but he was just too tired today. The only thing I want to do now is to go back to the dormitory, take a good shower and sleep. Zhou Yuanchao had already gone to the cafeteria and brought the food to the dormitory. After Huo Yingjia took a shower, he returned to the dormitory to eat, tidied up a little, and then fell into a deep sleep. Zhou Yuanchao was also very tired, so he put away the dishes and climbed into bed to sleep. By the time Huo Yingjia woke up, it was already 10 o'clock the next morning. Seeing that Zhou Yuanchao was still sleeping, Huo Yingzhe did not wake him up, but took their lunch boxes to get food. Most of the time, Zhou Yuanchao helps with meals, but today Huo Yingzhe also wants to do something for his good friend. Huo Yingzhe took 4 lunch boxes and was about to walk out of the cafeteria when he met Zhou Yuanyuan at the door. "Brother Yingzhe, you have lost weight," Zhou Yuanyuan said softly. "You can't work so hard in the future, otherwise I will tell Grandpa Huo and Grandma Huo." Huo Yingzhe was hungry and impatient. "It's all for career," Huo Yingzhe said a high-sounding statement and quickly left the cafeteria. Huo Yingzhe was worried that he had talked too much with Zhou Yuanyuan, and that this woman had lost control of her emotions and yelled, making the noise known to everyone, and his face did not look good. In the Weapons Research Institute, although his grades were very good and he achieved many achievements, he was always envied by others because he was as good as a tree and would be destroyed by the wind. Healthy jealousy can stimulate everyone's competitiveness. But disgusting jealousy can evoke evil in human psychology. He didn't want to be envied by others because of his outstanding abilities, especially if he was framed using this despicable relationship between men and women as an excuse. He had many things on his mind, and he didn't want to cause more trouble because of Zhou Yuanyuan. "I can't afford to offend him, and I can't even afford to hide. Let Zhou Yuanchao do the cooking from now on. Brother Yingzhe, Brother Yingzhe." Zhou Yuanyuan shouted urgently from behind. Huo Yingzhe's steps became faster and faster, and he was already running. Huo Yingzhe was very lucky that there was no soup today, it was all vegetables, otherwise the soup would have been spilled if he ran so fast. Huo Yingzhe returned to the dormitory out of breath. Zhou Yuanchao, who had just come out of the bathroom, asked in surprise, "Boss, is there a wolf dog biting you in the back?" "Hey," Huo Yingzhe sighed, "a creature more terrifying than a wolf dog." Zhou Yuanchao was stunned for a moment, then smiled and asked, "It's that Zhou Yuanyuan again. You've been avoiding her, but she hasn't given up yet. If she had given up so easily, she wouldn't have chased her here. From now on, I'll leave the food to you. I can't go. When I saw her, my scalp went numb." Huo Yingzhe shuddered. "It's still chaos if you can't cut it off. Okay, in order to curry favor with my future sister-in-law, I will prepare meals for you from now on without any regrets," Zhou Yuanchao said with a smile. "I'm surprised, Zhou Yuanyuan is so beautiful, why is she here? Hang yourself on a crooked neck." "You are the crooked neck tree," Huo Yingzhe said dissatisfied. "He is not suave, but the jade tree is in the wind. Okay, let's not talk anymore. Not long after you went out, someone came to inform you to go to Director Liu's place," Zhou Yuanchao said. "He was sleeping soundly just now and was awakened by a knock on the door." "Did you say something happened?" Huo Yingzhe asked. "Is it because of Zhou Yuanyuan again? So annoying." Huo Yingzhe was originally very hungry, but now he had something to do. He ate a few mouthfuls, changed into clean clothes, and went to call Director Liu. When Director Liu saw Huo Yingzhe coming, he quickly asked Huo Yingzhe to come in and poured a cup of tea for Huo Yingzhe himself. "Director Liu, what's going on?" Huo Yingzhe asked cautiously. Director Liu usually didn't do anything good when he came to him. Director Liu saw that Huo Yingzhe was a little nervous and found it funny. It seemed that every time he called Huo Yingzhe, nothing good would happen, especially after Zhou Yuanyuan came. "It's something. Fortunately, you have a like-minded person who has great trust in you, so we learned about this matter." Director Liu explained that after research in the team, Zhou Yuanyuan wrote a letter in fake Huo Yingzhe's handwriting. This matter is an act of infringement and has been reported to protect Huo Yingzhe. The institute will investigate Zhou Yuanyuan. Huo Yingzhe was stunned, and when he heard that it was about He Tiantian, he became anxious and asked quickly, "What's wrong with He Tiantian? What happened? Didn't he work so hard just to protect Tianbao and be with Tianbao? But the difference between reality and imagination is so big. He has tried his best, but why is it still out of his control? If something happened to He Tian, he would stay awake and work so hard for what? Huo Yingzhi thinks he is very good, but there are so many people in the country, there are countless outstanding people. If the country is missing him, there will be other outstanding people to take over. In the future, China will still be able to achieve scientific and technological progress and national rejuvenation. But Tianbao is different. Apart from her parents, she only has him. Without him, Tianbao might. Huo Yingzhi didn't dare to think about it, his heart beat faster and he was very nervous. I recommend to my friend Tianqing Dibai's completed books Rebirth of Landscape Family, The Good Prince Consort of the Tang Dynasty, Heirloom, and Double Happiness. Friends who are not interested in reading can take a look. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 239. 237. Director Lu saw Huo Yingzhi so nervous and knew that he was wrong. Drink tea, don't be nervous, Director Lu said slowly, taking out a letter from under the folder. As soon as he saw the envelope, Huo Yingzhi knew that it was He Tianation's usual envelope and stamps. Huo Yingzhi quickly took the letter and took out the letter inside. There were 2 letters inside. Why are there 2 letters? Huo Yingzhi was surprised. He took the breakup letter casually and felt that the handwriting was familiar. He read the contents in his heart and became even more angry. I didn't write this. Imitate his handwriting? Another scene like this? Snored. Shameless. I know, it was Zhou Yuan who wrote it, Director Lu replied. There is also a photo in the envelope. Huo Yingzhi was stunned. Wasn't he Qi Jiangguo? Why is it Zhou Yuan? Huo Yingzhi shook the envelope and another photo fell out. It's really Zhou Yuan. Huo Yingzhi immediately understood that this was Zhou Yuan imitating his handwriting to write a breakup letter to He Tian. Huo Yingzhi looked bad, worried that He Tian would misunderstand, so he quickly opened He Tianation's letter. After reading the letter, Huo Yingzhi lowered his head. Sweet baby is so good. Sweet baby is awesome. She still trusts him as before. This made Huo Yingzhi feel ashamed and at the same time very happy. Things have changed, what happened to him and around He Tian have also changed. No matter what he does, his heart will not change. When Huo Yingzhi looked up again, Director Lu saw moisture in Huo Yingzhi's eyes and a little tear stain at the corner of his eyes. Oh, what an infatuated man. Born 20 years later, maybe she would also like Huo Yingzhi. Okay, I have reported this matter to the security department. You don't need to go to Zhou Yuan, because such a stubborn person will not admit his mistakes and correct them just because you say a few words, Director Lu said. Continue with your work, I'll take care of the work and other things. Huo Yingzhi understood what Director Lu meant. If it was a man, he would go up and fight, but the other party was a woman. It was really difficult. He stood up and bowed to Director Lu. Please. This is my job, don't thank me, Director Lu said. You have a good partner. She trusts you. There are not many such good girls. Yes, not much, Huo Yingzhi agreed. Since the last incident, I have been avoiding Zhou Yuan, and I have also written letters to my family. I guess my family has done nothing to hinder the face of Zhou Yuan's parents. This Zhou Yuan imitated my handwriting and wrote a letter, which was even worse than the last time. I will write to my family again to let them realize the seriousness of the matter. That's great, Director Lu said happily. We don't dare to provoke you, the children of high-ranking cotters. It would be best if you come forward. Actually, most of the children of high-ranking cotters have pretty good abilities. Not all of them are as emotional as Zhou Yuan. Huo Yingzhi would rather be unfair to the children of high-ranking cotters than to overthrow a whole bunch of people just because Zhou Yuan behaves like this. Director Lu also knew that his words were too general. Haha, you are right, most of them are good, Director Lu smiled. You are a typical representative of excellence. There is no need for Huo Yingzhi to argue with Director Lu on this issue. There are many people like him who are talented and down to earth, but there are also many people like Zhou Yuanyuan. There is one in his family who is too idle. Ichi Huo Yingqi. His correspondence with He Tiantian was through the research institute. The person who sent and received letters at the institute was Director Lu. Director Lu knew the seriousness of the matter and would not give He Tianatian's address to Zhou Yuanyuan. Therefore, Zhou Yuanyuan's ability to obtain He Tianatian's address probably had something to do with Huo Yingqi. After all, this place is not far from Nanji. Huo Yingqi returned to Nanji on vacation and could easily get He Tianatian's address at his home. Hey, don't worry. This cousin has never been worried. Now I am just interfering in her marriage, but I will be more nosy in the future. It's really a waste of time to worry about eating carrots. You go back, it's an urgent matter. You can write a few more letters and send them out. I hope your family will help you and get rid of these bad things as soon as possible, Director Lu said, not worried about Huo Yingzhi's emotions. Her focus Zhou Yuanyuan imitated Huo Yingzhi's handwriting. I understand, thank you, Director Lu. Huo Yingzhi thanked him again. He Tianatian's letter and Zhou Yuanyuan's scorer's letter were evidence. They were temporarily placed with Director Lu and not given to Huo Yingzhi. Huo Yingzhi hurried back to the dormitory and wrote a letter to He Tiantian first according to the previous agreement. Huo Yingzhi has never been so lucky as he is now that he had a secret agreement with He Tiantian. This time, He Tiantian can trust him. Although he knew someone was sabotaging him, He Tiantian knew his sincerity and could treat it rationally even if he felt sad. I am writing this letter now to make He Tiantian feel at ease. If he couldn't be with He Tiantian, he wouldn't give in. Afterwards, he wrote a letter to his parents, informing them about Zhou Yuanyuan and asking them if they had told Huo Yingqi He Tianatian's address in Huai City. As for the letters to grandparents, uncles, aunts, and first cousins, Yingzhi's words were even harsher. If it weren't for his scruples, Huo Yingzhi would even want to write a letter to Zhou Yuanyuan's parents himself. Huo Yingzhi wrote 5 letters in a row and handed them directly to Director Lu. After checking it, Director Lu found that there was no sensitive content. After sealing it, he affixed a stamp and handed it to the postman who came to pick up the letter. The postmen who come to and from the institute are not ordinary postmen. They are all carefully selected comrades with strong ideas to ensure that the documents and letters of the institute can be delivered safely, so Director Lu never worries that Zhou Yuanyuan can use these staff. However, Huo Yingzhi didn't go to find Zhou Yuanyuan, but Zhou Yuanyuan was looking at her with eager eyes and her ghost lingered. Huo Yingzhi hid in the dormitory to rest for 2 days without leaving the dormitory door. This was a gay dormitory, and lesbians were not allowed in. Zhou Yuanyuan often passes by here, but she just can't get in. Boss, that Zhou Yuanyuan is still down there. You probably won't be able to go out today. Zhou Yuanchao looked at Huo Yingzhi with sympathetic eyes, but there was a bit of gloating in his tone. Hey, being handsome is also a sin. Huo Yingzhi was angry and looked out of the window. He was so angry that he slapped the wall hard and said angrily, "Why can't we get rid of the candy? Why don't we have so much time in the hospital and we don't have to go to work? Boss, you didn't go out, so you don't know the situation. As for me, I went out a few times and asked you about it. Zhou Yuanyuan can't leave the institute at will now, but she still has plenty of time to rest." Zhou Yuanchao said, "If you do it tomorrow, if you don't want to meet Zhou Yuanyuan, you have to leave the dormitory before 6 o'clock in the morning." The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 240. 238. In order to avoid Zhou Yuanyuan, I fought hard. Huo Yingzhi took a sip of water and said, "I will leave the dormitory at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning." "Where are you going?" "The office opens at 7 o'clock and the laboratory opens at 8 o'clock." Zhou Yuanchao asked curiously. In order to avoid Zhou Yuanyuan, The boss also spent a lot of effort. "I'll go to Mr. Sun's place," Huo Yingja said. As long as he wasn't blocked by Zhou Yuanyuan alone, he wouldn't have to worry about Zhou Yuanyuan using force. Yes. That's right. Now some research institutes have controlled Zhou Yuanyuan's whereabouts and do not allow her to come and go at will. However, Zhou Yuanyuan cannot be stopped in public places of the research institute. No matter how much Zhou Yuanyuan did, before the matter was finalized, everyone would only talk behind her back and not do anything to Zhou Yuanyuan. But the situation is different for Huo Yingja. If Zhou Yuanyuan becomes angry and attacks her with force, Huo Yingja will be in trouble if he can't avoid her. So the only thing Huo Yingja can do now is to avoid Zhou Yuanyuan. The next morning, Huo Yingja left the dormitory early and went directly to Chief Engineer Sun. Aunt Li made breakfast, and Mr. Sun was having breakfast. When he saw Huo Yingja coming over, he quickly asked his wife to make something more. "Why are you here?" General Manager Sun asked. "Is something wrong?" Huo Yingja ate with his head down and said distressedly, "General Manager Sun, I don't believe you don't know about me." Upon hearing this, Mr. Sun smiled coquettishly and said, "We will have a solution for Zhou Yuanyuan soon. Just wait. In any case, this is a girl's house and we cannot use strong methods. If it wasn't a woman, I would have beaten her up long ago," Huo Yingja said angrily. "Now my partner is in a remote place, I don't know how sad it is. I want to complete this mission, apply for a vacation, and go visit Tianbao. What he can't let go of the most now is Tian. Okay, let me calculate it for you. You have nearly 20 days of vacation," Mr. Sun said. "You really need to relax. This is the rule set by Chief Engineer Sun here at the Institute. In the Institute, as long as Chief Engineer Sun does not enter and leave the Institute at will, everything else is at the discretion of Chief Engineer Sunday." Mr. Sun, who came from abroad, knows very well the importance of a balance between work and rest, so he is very generous with the vacations requested by everyone. But the premise is that you must complete the task. Huo Yingja is such a weirdo, he completes the task ahead of time every time. Huo Yingja had breakfast and went to the most secret place of the research institute with Mr. Sun. On the way, Huo Yingja really met Zhou Yuanyuan. "Brother Yingja, this is the preserved meat I asked my trustee to buy for you. You can replenish your health." Zhou Yuanyuan saw Huo Yingja running over in a hurry and took out the best preserved meat as if it were a treasure. In fact, it was sent to her by her family. She was reluctant to eat it, so she gave it to Huo Yingja. Zhou Yuanyuan will do anything for the person she likes. However, the falling flowers are ruthless and the flowing water is ruthless. Manager Sun sighed, glanced at Huo Yingja and said, "I'll wait for you in front first." This was Huo Yingja's and Zhou Yuanyuan's previous private matter, and Mr. Sun took the initiative to avoid it. Huo Yingja pursed his lips and looked at Zhou Yuanyuan coldly. The anger in his heart was suppressed and he couldn't say anything. He could only say calmly, "Zhou Yuanyuan, didn't you understand what I said last time? I don't like you. We are just colleagues. Please don't do more than that. Colleague friendship thing. Brother Yingja, our two families are family friends, and I should care about you. How can you be so unkind?" Zhou Yuanyuan said hurtedly. She was so good to him, why didn't he like her? Is that Tian that good? So good that Huo Yingja is willing to give up a beauty with such a good family background? Your concern has gone beyond the limit. I can't bear it, Huo Yingja said coldly. He was also a pathetic person. He is destined not to like Zhou Yuanyuan, so he will not sympathize with Zhou Yuanyuan. He sympathized with Zhou Yuanyuan, so who would sympathize with him? Who will sympathize with his sweet baby? A person's heart is so big that he can only let go of two people, one is himself, and the other is his undying lover. There is no room for the third person. Brother Yingja, I love you, Zhou Yuanyuan said, rushing forward, I can give everything I have. Huo Yingji took a few steps back, avoiding Zhou Yuanyuan's touch, and said, as I said, I don't love you. If you give everything, I won't. To be honest, you are outstanding, and looking back, you can see many people who deserve to be cherished. But I only like you. Zhou Yuanyuan lost her voice. Is that he Tian Tian that good? So good that you will do anything to offend me and our Zhou family. Huo Yingji didn't want to talk anymore, because he was worried that he would stimulate Zhou Yuanyuan and make this crazy woman do even more extreme things. For the last time, I don't like you, I even hate you. I hope you won't appear in front of me in the future. If you overestimate your ability and create conflicts between the two families, I have nothing to say. After Huo Yingji finished speaking, he quickly walked up to Mr. Sun. Zhou Yuanyuan turned around and chased after her, and also came to the front of Mr. Sun. However, Zhou Yuanyuan could not go any further, because the two bodyguards around General Manager Sun had already blocked Zhou Yuanyuan's way to prevent Zhou Yuanyuan from rushing forward and injuring General Manager Sun. General Manager Sun looked at Zhou Yuanyuan with pity and said, Comrade Zhou, the true meaning of love lies in the mutual happiness of two people. In the Weapons Research Institute, Chief Engineer Sun supported Huo Yingji both publicly and privately. No, I only know how to pursue my love and never give up, Zhou Yuanyuan said slowly, and Chief Engineer Sun looked at Huo Yingji firmly through two soldiers. Ah! Obsessed, Chief Engineer Sun sighed, hoping that the security department would deal with this matter quickly, otherwise something big would happen in the institute sooner or later. Chief Engineer Sun didn't care what would happen to Zhou Yuanyuan, he was worried about Huo Yingji. This is the pillar of the country. We can't afford the loss. Chief Engineer Sun took Huo Yingji to the laboratory and asked the young man behind to stop Zhou Yuanyuan. When he arrived at Chief Engineer Sun's office, Huo Yingji said distressedly, Chief Engineer Sun, you can see that Zhou Yuanyuan is no longer suitable to stay here. Yes, I will naturally choose you between you and Zhou Yuanyuan, Chief Engineer Sun said seriously. If Zhou Yuanyuan was replaced, there would be other doctors, but there would be no talents like Huo Yingji. Huo Yingji's research solved major problems and saved huge expenses for the institute and the country. In order to prevent Huo Yingji from being distracted by trivial matters in life, the sooner this matter is resolved, the better. Thank you, Chief Engineer Sun. Huo Yingji smiled. Almost a year of hard work has not been in vain. Chief Engineer Sun has the right to know Zhou Yuanyuan's family situation. For him, he dared to offend the Zhou family. Huo Yingji was grateful. Don't thank me. This is what the institute should do for you, Chief Engineer Sun said in a deep voice. After thinking for a while, he took out a thick top-secret document from the safe, hoping that Huo Yingji could pass this test. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 241. Chapter 241 Night Attack, 1520+. 239. If he passes this test, Huo Yingji will have a broader world in the future. Huo Yingji took it and opened it to take a look in front of Mr. Sunday. He guessed it right, it was this project. I will do my best, Huo Yingji said. If it goes well, it will probably take 2 months to complete this task. But if it doesn't go well, there will be no fixed time limit. Fortunately, Huo Yingji was prepared, and this project was somewhat related to the previous project, so some work did not need to be continued. Then you must also pay attention to your health. Your body is the capital of the revolution, so that you can better serve the country, Mr. Sun said. This is not a lie. If those engaged in scientific research are not in good health, their work will be affected. Furthermore, although he is very young, you are full of energy, but you can't not cherish it so much. You must know that your body belongs to you and your family. I understand, Mr. Sun, Huo Yingzhe agreed and returned to his office with the documents. In the afternoon, Zhou Yuanxiao and Qian Miao Miao also came over to help. You still have vacation, why don't you take a good rest? Huo Yingzhe was very surprised when he saw someone coming. You are working hard, how can we, as subordinates, take a break? Zhou Yuanxiao said, we have also told Director Lu and Chief Engineer Sun to take time off. If you have a vacation, we will also take a vacation. Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, okay, let's work harder. Once this job is over, you will have at least half a month of continuous vacation, so you can have a good rest. Half a month, my God, I can go home in time, and I can stay at home for a few more days. After a busy lunch, a group of people went to the cafeteria to eat. Huo Yingzhe originally thought that he would encounter the lingering Zhou Yuanyuan, but Huo Yingzhe was always worried, but he didn't expect to see Zhou Yuanyuan after dinner. For several days, it was very quiet around Huo Yingzhe. But this is just the calm before the storm. Silent and eerie. It was Zhou Yuanyuan's day off again, but she received the hospital's duty list. She had to be on duty and could not enter or leave the institute. Zhou Yuanyuan hasn't gone out for 2 weeks. She made an appointment with Huo Yingqi before, but now she can't go out, and she feels angry. On duty, how can the hospital be so busy? Zhou Yuanyuan was angry. If Huo Yingzhe wasn't here, she wouldn't even come here if she was invited. When the attending doctor who inspected the ward with Zhou Yuanyuan heard Zhou Yuanyuan's muttering, he secretly laughed in his heart. This girl is still so ignorant here. After inspecting the ward, Zhou Yuanyuan finally couldn't bear it anymore and said, Director, I want to ask for leave. The attending doctor kept looking at the cases without looking at Zhou Yuanyuan, and said softly, there is a shortage of people now. If anything happens, please provide customer service for the time being and wait until this matter is finished. Then why do others take vacations but I don't? Zhou Yuanyuan said dissatisfiedly, I have done everything I should do. Why should I be allowed to do things during my vacation time? That's because you took a vacation before and others didn't, the attending doctor said, and you only studied in the medical class for a period of time without systematic study. Shouldn't you study hard now and enrich yourself? At Zhou Yuanyuan's level, she can at most be a nurse. I wonder how she passed the doctor's qualification exam. Zhou Yuanyuan's face turned red when she heard the attending doctor's words. Others don't know what's going on, but she knows it herself. She didn't study well and had a poor foundation. She had no ability to pass the exam. Instead, she looked at Huo Yingqi's answers. But others don't know. Who said I didn't study systematically? Zhou Yuanyuan was dissatisfied. I am a qualified doctor who has passed the exam, but you didn't give me a chance. I can only do some chores, and there is no chance for me to perform. The attending doctor raised his head and said with a smile, that's why the dean has specifically asked you to stay here, so that you can exercise more and become a revolutionary warrior as soon as possible. You. Zhou Yuanyuan suddenly realized that she had fallen into the pit dug by the old woman opposite. Okay, I'm going to have a minor surgery soon, you follow me, the attending doctor said, this is a case. If nothing goes wrong, you can take it and have a look. Remember, you are a doctor now, and the other party needs your treatment. Patient, I hope you will be more serious. As soon as he said this, he obviously hoped that Zhou Yuanyuan would leave. Zhou Yuanyuan was so angry that she couldn't let go, so she went out with the case. After that, I reluctantly followed the doctor to the operating room and spent the day in a lackluster manner. Her whole heart was devoted to Huo Yingzhe. At night, she unknowingly walked outside Huo Yingzhe's research room. But someone is already guarding it and she can't get in. It's been like this for several days. If you can't go out, you won't get Huo Yingqi's guidance. If you stay in the research institute, you won't be able to see Huo Yingjia's people. Days like this are unspeakable torture for Zhou Yuanyuan. Zhou Yuanyuan, who was in a state of anxiety, did a very ridiculous thing. She climbed the wall and entered Huo Yingjia's dormitory through the window. Huo Yingjia didn't sleep a wink all day and night. After returning to the dormitory to wash up, he fell asleep. In the middle of the night, he felt something touching his face. He thought it was a quilt, so he turned over and continued to sleep. Zhou Yuanyuan sat in front of Huo Yingjia's bed in the dark, feeling excited. This was the first time she looked at Huo Yingjia so close. She wanted to reach out and continue to touch Huo Yingjia, but Zhou Yuanyuan's hand stopped only about 10 centimeters away from Huo Yingjia's face. The quiet brother Yingjia is as elegant and noble as a prince. In fact, it's good to look at brother Yingjia silently like this, at least he won't be as harsh and angry as when he is awake. Zhou Yuanyuan just sat like this, breathing the air in the same space with Huo Yingjia. She already felt happy. Maybe it was because she had been tense for a while, but now being so close to Huo Yingjia relaxed her nerves. Her eyes were blurred, her eyelids were heavy, and she fell asleep unconsciously. The next morning, Zhou Yuanchao came back from the research room to rest, yawning and scanning the room. It didn't matter, it scared all the sleepy heads away. There was actually a woman sleeping next to Huo Yingjia. This woman is actually Zhou Yuanyuan, whom the boss avoids. My mother, it's a mess, it's a mess. Zhou Yuanchao covered his mouth to prevent himself from screaming. Zhou Yuanchao tiptoed, walked carefully to the bedside, shook Huo Yingjia and said, "Boss, wake up." Huo Yingjia turned sideways, opened his hazy, melancholy and slightly bloodshot eyes, and looked at Zhou Yuanchao for no apparent reason. Zhou Yuanchao didn't speak, but pointed behind him. Huo Yingjia turned over and was stunned. His eyes widened. He quickly stood up and wrapped himself in a thin quilt. It's early summer now. Huo Yingjia is wearing a vest on top and big pants on the bottom, but the big pants are cooler inside. 6 updates in a row tomorrow. Moi. Please subscribe and reward. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 242. 240. Chapter 240, Furious, she is a pervert. Huo Yingjia didn't know why. He was clearly in his dormitory, so why was there a woman? Because Huo Yingjia's movements were a bit big, Zhou Yuanyuan also woke up. When he saw Huo Yingjia, he smiled and muttered, "It turns out I had a sweet dream." Then I closed my eyes again. Sweet dream. What a humming sweet dream. Nightmare. Let him have a psychological nightmare in the future. Huo Yingjia quickly got up, went to the bathroom, got dressed, and ran out without washing his face or brushing his teeth. Zhou Yuanchao didn't dare to wait any longer. The issue of style was very serious. Perhaps because of the loud noise, Zhou Yuanyuan finally woke up and found that it was not a dream, so she thought of how she sneaked into Huo Yingjia's dormitory last night, and then looked at the sleeping face of brother Yingjia, and fell asleep unknowingly. Oh my gosh! She originally just wanted to stay for a while and then leave. Actually fell asleep. What to do now? Zhou Yuanyuan checked her clothes. They were still the clothes she wore last night. Nothing happened between her and Huo Yingjia. Fine. But while I was happy, I was also a little disappointed. But soon Zhou Yuanyuan regained her consciousness and was discovered by Huo Yingjia and Zhou Yuanchao. It is estimated that Director Lu also knew about it after a while. Then what awaits her is more gossip, punishment, reporting to the security office, and even expulsion. The more Zhou Yuanyuan thinks about it, the more scared she becomes. What should she do? The consequences were so serious that it seriously affected her reputation. But the other party was Huo Yingjia, and Zhou Yuanyuan had no regrets. At this moment, she had no way out, She was risking her life and risking her life. Her target was Huo Yingzhe. If she didn't do anything, she would rely on Huo Yingzhe. After Zhou Yuanyuan calmed down, she squinted her eyes and, as if she had made a great determination, took off her shirt and the women's vest and trousers, wearing only a pair of underwear, and lay down on Huo Yingzhe's bed. There was the scent of brother Yingzhe in the quilt. Zhou Yuanyuan was so excited that goosebumps appeared on her arms. She rubbed the quilt and felt an indescribable numbness in her heart. Zhou Yuanyuan made a comfortable hum. It was a wonderful feeling she had never experienced before. If possible, she would like to sleep in this bed all the time. However, it's soon. In order to create a realistic scene, Zhou Yuanyuan pinched her neck several times and grabbed her arms and thighs several times. Red marks suddenly appeared on the originally fair skin. In some places, I used too much force and purple bruises appeared directly. This week Yuanyuan spent a lot of money to achieve her goal. For the sake of future happiness, this little sin and this little pain are nothing. Zhou Yuanyuan didn't realize that she was going further and further down the path of paranoid love and had reached the edge of the cliff. Speaking of Huo Yingzhe, when Zhou Yuanchao arrived outside the dormitory, the two looked at each other. "Boss, is Zhou Yuanyuan really strong this time?" Zhou Yuanchao said in disbelief. Looking at the boss's raised hair and the eye mucus in the corners of his eyes, it was the first time he saw Huo Yingzhe in such a state of embarrassment. His usual elegance had completely disappeared. Huo Yingzhe smiled bitterly and said, "This Zhou Yuanyuan is such a pervert." Then did she succeed? What Zhou Yuanchao was most curious about was this. Zhou Yuanyuan's clothes just now were a bit messy. I hope the boss didn't lose her virginity last night? What a success! Huo Yingzhe didn't have the bearing of a noble man at all now, he was like a down-and-out gangster. I didn't rest all day and night while doing experiments. I slept like a dead pig. What a success! Upon hearing this, Zhou Yuanchao breathed a sigh of relief and said, "That's good. As long as you don't act recklessly, things will be easy to deal with." Huo Yingzhe scratched his head and said, "You watch here, I'll go find Director Lu and ask how to deal with it. If the organization doesn't handle it well, I will resign. Damn it, if there is Zhou Yuanyuan in this research institute, he will apply for transfer. If the research institute does not agree to transfer, he will resign. Okay, hurry up and ask Director Lu to take this lunatic away as soon as possible," Zhou Yuanchao said in a dumbfounded voice. He would not even have the slightest affection for such a beauty, even the four beauties of ancient times. Huo Yingzhe hurried to Director Liu's office. "I met many people along the way, and I couldn't help but laugh when I saw the always graceful Huo Yingzhe looking so embarrassed. However, Huo Yingzhe is not in the mood to take care of this today. He hopes that Director Lu will take the person away quickly." "Ah! Director Lu hasn't gone to work yet? Awful." Bang bang, Huo Yingzhe was so angry that he kicked Director Liu's door twice. "Hey, Xiao Huo, what are you doing? Sleepwalking so early in the morning? I have no grievances against you, why are you kicking it?" Director Lu came over carrying a hot water bottle. While talking, he took out the key and opened the door. Huo Yingzhe didn't have time to explain, so he said unhappily, "Something big happened." Only then did Director Lu notice the slovenly Huo Yingzhe and asked in surprise, "What's going on? Please tell me quickly." Director Lu has closed the door. Huo Yingzhe scratched his head and some dandruff fell off. "Xiao Huo, pay attention to your image," Director Lu reminded, "if you have something to say, tell me something." Huo Yingzhe raised his head and said, "Director Lu, I don't know when Zhou Yuanyuan entered my dormitory last night. When I woke up early in the morning, I found her on my bed." "Ah," Director Lu was horrified, "isn't this impossible? Are all the people in the security office dozing off? What else is impossible? Zhou Yuanchao only found out when he came back. I didn't sleep all day and night." I slept very soundly at night. I had no idea when and how she came in, Huo Yingzhi said with a bitter smile. Now Zhou Yuan like a madman, she has seriously affected my work. If she can't be transferred, I can only apply for transfer. When Director Lu heard this, he was angry and anxious, and quickly comforted him. Xiao Huo, don't be anxious about this matter, I'll handle it. Also, are you sure you didn't do that? No matter how tired he was, Huo Yingzhi was still a hot-blooded young man. He threw himself into the arms of a beautiful woman and didn't react at all? Really not, I was very tired and didn't wake up at all at night, Huo Yingzhi explained, not wanting Director Lu to misunderstand. Director Lu listened and looked at Huo Yingzhi up and down, with a bit of gossip in his eyes. Huo Yingzhi understood and said quickly, there is nothing wrong with me, don't think nonsense. Haha, I didn't mean that either, Director Lu said sarcastically. If she hadn't gone to Huo Yingzhi's dormitory, she might have really wanted to ask the question. It's weird if you don't mean that. Middle-aged and elderly women who gossip. Huo Yingzhi was secretly angry. When did this happen? There are not enough things to do. Director Lu took his assistant and followed Huo Yingzhi to the dormitory area. Zhou Yuanchao was still at the door of the dormitory, bored and somewhat confused. I can't figure it out. Not even the omnipotent boss could do anything about it, so Zhou Yuanchao decided not to waste any more time thinking. There must be a road before the mountains. There is always a solution. 6 updates in a row today. Please subscribe to the official version and reward. Friends of Quanding can join Kikai's VIP Quanding Book Club, Quanding VIP Book Club, 3-3-3-3-6-1-2-5-7-4.